Paul Apostle of Christ is a new Christian film that stars Jim Caviezel, James Faulkner, and Olivier Martinez, and is the story of the Apostle Paul, who has been imprisoned in Rome roughly after Nero sets fire to Rome and blames it on the Christians. And in the film, Luke, the physician who famously wrote the Gospel of Luke, is gone into Rome to talk to Paul and write down his letters and send it out to the world to spread Christianity. Overall, this film's just kind of okay. It's not very great, it's honestly very boring, but it does have some merit to it. The cinematography, for the most part, is very good. The sets are very good. They filmed in Malta, so that's where they filmed Game of Thrones. So the film has a good aesthetic to it. It looks nice. But that doesn't help the film. The writing is just kind of poor and bland. It's just kind of generic. There's nothing special about it. Though the acting is actually very good. Jim Caviezel is fun in the role, and when he is able to talk with James Faulkner, who plays Paul, they have some great kind of banter between them, and it's kind of fun to watch. But overall, the movie's just kind of generic, with a generic Roman soldier who is all about, oh man, these Christians, we need to stop them. But he eventually not really converts to Christianity, but it's just something you've seen before, and it's done here again, and there's nothing new to the formula. Honestly, this film's just kind of bland and, as I said, boring, and that's why I give Paul, Apostle of Christ, a 5 out of 10. But let's face it, that's not the review you clicked on. I mean, Paul Apostle of Christ, it's okay, but it's nothing compared to the cinematic piece of art that I saw right after. Okay, honestly, I didn't even plan on doing this, but my friends and we were going to go see Paul, and we decided, hey, there's this movie playing, and let's go watch it. So we decided to go see Kirk Cameron's Connect, which is this documentary made by Kirk Cameron that is for parents. It's kind of meant to explain to parents about how to prepare their children for this new world of technology, and it's there to kind of explain the good and the bad parts of using technology in this ever-growing world where every day something new is coming out, and just better prepare our children for it. Which, honestly, it's an okay statement. Like, I understand, like, there's things that parents try to go to. They want to limit their children from using technology. Like, that's understandable. I mean, I I myself have a problem. I'm on my phone way too much. Like, it it's a relatable topic, and it's just it's Kirk Cameron telling you this. Now, Kirk Cameron has made some insane stuff before. Um, just check out Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas, which is the greatest comedy ever made, but sadly is not a comedy at all. It's played pretty straight. But he's been in this phase lately where he's been trying to make almost like PSA movies, and this is another attempt at doing that, except it's not a movie, it's a documentary. And it's insane. Actually, my friends and I, when we went to see it, we arrived late. We were about 15 minutes late, so we go in, and the movie's about 90 minutes, so we probably missed about 15 minutes, so it wasn't any biggie. It was a really boring conversation, and but just because it's Kirk Cameron, we knew that something had to be up because Kirk Cameron can't go 5 minutes without talking about Christianity in some form, and we were like, well, how's he going to connect Christianity to texting? And he finds a way somehow. I don't know how he does it, but I can't even explain to you how he gets from technology to Jesus. It's so bizarre and makes no sense. He just kind of does it. Um, the film kind of starts out where they're just talking about how technology is used and like how we keep looking at our phones, as I told you before, like how I am with my phone. But then it takes this turn where it starts giving interviews from people, and it starts talking about Facebook, like how this couple used Facebook, and that's how they met. Which, okay, but and then it goes into their story about how their daughter was apparently taking photos of herself that were like sexually explicit photos. And it's like, well, first of all, why are you looking through her phone? And then another thing is like, why? And it doesn't connect to anything actually. Like, and then they go on, and this boy talks about how he was bullied when he was a kid, like people called him fat, and then he took to social media and created this account, and people still like made fun of him, and like he liked the whole idea of social media and being trying to be accepted, like people were friending him and it made him feel like he had friends, which is, it's relatable and stuff. But it just it takes a weird turn where all of a sudden it starts becoming about Jesus and finding God, and these two things. I don't I don't know how you're doing it, Kirk Cameron, but I'm just saying Christianity does not connect to social media like the way you think it does. I mean, okay, you had me with the craziness that was your movie Saving Christmas, where you talked about how all the symbolisms of like the tree and Santa Claus are somehow in the Bible, but you can't tell me any of this stuff's in the Bible. Um, and the film just goes on from there, and it just gets really, really boring. But my friends and I had a blast, especially, especially in the middle part of the film near the end. Kirk Cameron, after getting on this spiel about Christianity and talking to some pastors about turning to God, which I, if I'm remembering correctly, has nothing to do with the whole theme of technology. It only has to do with God from that point on. But anyway, he gets to this point in the film where he starts telling almost a story where he's talking about protecting our children from, I'm guessing, the darker sides of the internet, like predators. And the story has this dramatization almost, where there's this lumberjack guy that looks a lot like Kirk Cameron, except he's bald and he's got this big giant beard, and he comes out with an axe, and you're like, what is going on? Like, my friends and I were sitting there like, we almost, like, we couldn't say anything. All we did was laugh, because what happened was the most amazing thing I've ever seen this year in a film, maybe even ever, because it was fantastic. This guy that looks like Kirk Cameron, he starts going in this field, and he finds this hole in the ground where this smoke is coming up, and it's really, really cheesy. And Kirk Cameron's narrating, and like he's really, really like setting this up. And the guy goes in there, and he's in this cave, and like there's children around that he's trying to save, and you're like, oh my gosh, where's this going? Like, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden, this big just smoke monster just comes out, and this guy fights this monster with his axe, and it's amazing. it's I was crying in the theater watching this, because I'm like, I never see this in movies. Like, Kirk Cameron did the impossible. He made, again, the greatest comedy ever made. The best unintentional comedy ever. It was just ridiculous. And then my friend, he goes on to say that the creature actually looked like Ifrit. And I was like, oh my god, it is. It is. So there he's poking at Arabs. Like, I'm guessing Arabs are the horrible people he's talking about, because it looks like Ifrit and connections? I mean, maybe that's the whole idea. Like, he's trying to connect stuff together, and it makes sense in that context. But overall, his idea of connections when it comes to using the internet, and then him talking about Christianity, it just doesn't make sense. And none of the stories that he tells from other people's perspectives, they really don't go in depth that much. In fact, okay, the documentary itself is well intentioned. However, it's information you already know. Everybody knows what to do with technology. Everybody knows that people are using their phone too much. And, like, it's almost like, why did this have to be made? And I tell you why. It's because Kirk Cameron wants your money. He wants to rape your wallet and take your money. Because you know what? Okay, late at night, you buy a ticket and everything. It's going to be about $9 probably. Nah, Kirk Cameron wants $12 a ticket. He wants your money, and he wanted to make this so that you could get money. Well, too bad for him, because my friends and I were the only ones in the theater. That makes 3 of us in total. So, I'm sorry, Kirk. I don't know if you're getting much out of this, because it wasn't worth it. There's just a lot more bitter stuff out there that you could have talked about. I mean, there's nothing new you can say. You just kind of sprinkled Jesus in it a little bit, and it didn't make it any different. The movie is the same no matter what. But Kirk Cameron does pad it out with some really great scenes of him talking in his car to the cameraman, which you can see the cameraman's reflection in the window behind Kirk. And it's almost like, I wonder what the cameraman has to say about this. Like, how is how how do you feel following Kirk Cameron around? What's it like driving in a car with Kirk Cameron? Like, it's padded out with scenes of him just getting gas and talking to us about what he just listened people talk about. And so it's like, it's clear that he's just trying to pad this out to 90 minutes, which is very clear. Also, I don't think Kirk Cameron really understands what people are saying, because he does get some professionals to talk about stuff in this movie. Like, there's people with PhDs that have written books and stuff, and that's cool and all, but when he talks to them and they're telling him this stuff, his reaction shots are, mhm. He just doesn't look like he knows what they're talking about. But oh man, when the preacher man comes out with the big booming voice, he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. We do this, this, and this, and this." However, I think he knew what they were saying, but he took it completely different than what it really was. And also, I'll say this. Kirk Cameron, he wants you to eat Chick-fil-A, because there's a part in the movie where he gets some Chick-fil-A sandwiches and then goes on the beach with his family and swims. And it just made us want to eat Chick-fil-A. In fact, I think that was his plan all along. We saw this movie on Saturday. It's clear that Kirk Cameron was wanting us to eat some Chick-fil-A, because he knew if we didn't, it would be Sunday and we wouldn't be getting Chick-fil-A. We'd have to wait till Monday. I see what you did there, Kirk. Maybe you're more clever than I thought you were. Oh well. But then the movie just ends. It just ends. The movie is supposed to be 90 minutes, and it ends around the 60-minute mark. Now, granted, I didn't even see the first 15 minutes of the movie. So, I was only in there for like 45 minutes, and the movie ended. So, I was like, oh man, well, I guess that's the end. And then Kirk comes back. He comes back and he starts endorsing a product, and then I'm like, that's what this was all about. To sell a product to get money. And also, it's a stupid product anyway. It's a box that you can use an app on, and it deactivates people's phones, like your kids' phones, so that, like, oh, you want them to be in bed by 10? Okay. Shut their phone off so that they'll go to bed. Well, first of all, that's rude. But, like, why would you do that? This entire thing was to sell a product, and that's all Kirk Cameron, I think, is. Like, he's a man that wants money. He wants to rape your wallet and get as much money as possible, and sprinkles Jesus in there to make it sound all right when it's really not. It's basically theft. Alright, guys. However, I will say, thank you, Kirk Cameron, because the Chick-fil-A I had after the movie was pretty good. It was pretty good. So, I'll give that to you. You made me want Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A is pretty good. So, Guys, I don't know what else to say, but it was a really enjoyable time, but it also wasted my time when I could have been watching something else. It actually was more entertaining than the Paul movie, but at least Paul was a movie, and at least it wasn't there to sell a product. At least it was a movie made with the intention of maybe converting some people or just being a piece of entertainment, even though it failed. Kirk Cameron's Connect was just a film to get money out of people and inform people about something that they already know about. He doesn't say anything new, and it's just really, really bad. And that's honestly all I can say about it. It's just so bad and not worth your time. In fact, it was only out for 2 nights. It was a Fathom event, so you're not going to see it. In fact, I'm just going to tell you, go see Love, Simon, go see Tomb Raider, go see Black Panther for the 5th time. They're much better movies, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of those. You won't get any enjoyment out of this. Like, it was just bad. It was a fun experience in the theater with my friends, but oh, I couldn't imagine watching this alone. I feel like I would fall asleep or just leave the theater. But it was really, really fun with some friends because Kirk Cameron, though he's crazy, he can make great comedy out of the worst of places. So, honestly, guys, my final opinion of Kirk Cameron's Connect is a 1 out of 10. Guys, I'm sorry this review ran so long. I wanted to ramble on, kind of, just explain this to you because I couldn't talk about this in a 5-minute review. So, honestly, I hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys probably didn't even stay to the end to see this. That's okay. I mean, hey, a view's a view. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this anyway, and just, I say, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and then I'll see you in the next review. Bye.